Let's check out. I'm going to set up properly. Yes. Hello, everybody. How's everyone? Hope everybody's all right. So, we are live once again. We are live. Once again. With another show. So this is okay. And this is all right. So let's put this like this. It's Wednesday night, absolutely. Midday, midweek, as some call it. Especially, I remember when I worked 9 to 5, counting the days till the weekend arrives. That was the goal of the week. Let's get to the weekend. Oh, man. This is okay. Now I'm going to open my beer. I've got beer today. The famous end of the world, fin du monde, that we are going to open. Hopefully not too much pressure and almost smack me. Not too bad. Let's see if we can hear something. Oh yeah, a lot of pressure on this one. Here we go. And that was an opening of a beer. Here's the cork. And there we go. Nice to have everybody here. So, hey, cheers. All I need is a patch, an eye patch, and yeah, I'm going to be a pirate. If you want to walk the plank, if you're not a radio guy, that's going to happen. I hope there's not going to be too much noise because the snow removal crew is going to be taking the snow out of the street. My guess of the Mentos and the beers is probably it does. But maybe not in the same way as soda, but it probably does. But I would bet that it does it on a beer too. It's just that it wouldn't probably be exactly the same. Hey, everybody. Nice to have you here. Nice to be here on a Wednesday evening. So snow. When I said snoo, the first thing that came to mind is the Futurama episode where they have Death by Snoo, which is a funny episode. Anyways. So, hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Show, and we are here twice a week. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But for a lot of people, That is on Thursday because we're at 0 hours Universal Time. So for a big chunk of Europe and the rest of the world, we're actually on Thursday. We're also here on Saturday, and that's at 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time. And we talk about radio. And like I said, hope there's not too much noise because the snow removal crew is going to be taking the snow out on one side of the street tonight. So it's a pretty big thing here with all the trucks and the snow plow and the snow blower, and it's pretty crazy. Not something that a lot of people have seen when they're not actually living in a big city like in Canada. So nice to have all of you here. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That's the northeast part of North America. And of course, we talk about radio. We just tune around the bands, answer questions, and hope that you guys are going to be enjoy the show tonight for sure. So this is pretty cool to be here. There's a beautiful chat room for those that are wondering. You are great people, and there's great people that can join also probably and basically answer questions, ask questions, or just chat about radio or whatever is happening in your neck of the woods. 2 simple rules: no religion. Well, 3 simple rules: no religion, no politics, no bad language. And I hope that you enjoy the show. I've got a lot of positive comments of people that have been watching. I've had a surge in first-time viewers in the last month and a half, and that has been really interesting to see all of the newbies coming to the channel, which are really cool. So that's nice. And there's also the Facebook group. When this party is over, well, everybody heads on to the Facebook group. That is where we continue, and people post pictures of whatever they're listening to, or the rigs or radios, or just answer questions, ask questions, and just once again have fun with what is our passion, the radio hobby. So welcome everybody to this live show tonight. Been playing around a lot with a new little toy here, a multi-coupler, which is really nice, and it actually is working great. I don't know if I can just show it quickly here. It's that little thing with tons of wires right here. So this is the MCA 104M by Stridsberg Engineering in the United States, HF receiver multi-coupler. So basically you have the antenna, the MLA30 is here, and here up to 4 radios share the MLA30 with 0 loss and 0 interaction, because each port is isolated from each other. So each radio, it's like if they would be on their own connection to the MLA30. And it really works well. I've got bunch of cables to plug in the MLA30, to plug in the to the SDRs, to the portable receivers, and also it's really cool because I've got everything needed to really test out. And now these are going to be really nice because it's going to be real cool tests that I can really compare, because there's no interaction between the radios. They're exactly on the same antenna, and that's really a lot of fun. So look for videos where I'll be comparing a lot of radios together, because I'll finally have the possibility to do it in a real cool way, in a real correct way, for sure. So this is really cool. So that's one of the things. And of course, still waiting for my Texan PL 368. I'm going to check out here quickly on the tracking, if by any chance it tells me that it's estimated delivery. Tracking number. So tracking number provided. I need to see. I would need to check out if it's arrived in Canada. Let me just check that quickly. Could it have arrived in Canada? Copy. And so Canada post tracking. See if the number shows up with something or not. And nope, can't find anything. So it's still not arrived in Canada for some reason. Hopefully it will eventually. So that is something that I can't wait to get, even though I know it has a few flaws because it's the Chinese version, but it's going to be a cool little radio, the Texan PL368, to test out. So I'm really well set up. The Texan PL368 is what I'm waiting for. I can't wait to put up the discount antenna. Not really the best times. We had a lot of snow. We are going to have more snow later this week. It's pretty cold, so it's kind of not the best of times for putting an antenna outdoors right now. So I'll be patient and wait for the proper times to set that up. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun and really, really nice. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado, with a few inches of snow. Man, nice to have you here. Is DXing good? It depends on the model. Depends what model you're going to get. Some DXing are good. There are like a lot of brands, some crappy DXing models. So it depends what model you're going to get. If you have to be more specific. If you can get an original DE 1103, DE 1103, that's a pretty decent portable. Kevin, nice to have you on board from Point Beach, New Jersey, WS2H. Dropped your Texan PL990X. That doesn't sound good. Landed perfectly on the antenna jack. I have to clip onto antenna now to use the MLA30. Oh, this is so sad. Do you think I lose efficiency no longer being able to plug in? You know what? If it's properly plugged in, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't think you lose really much. If you do, it's very minimal. And I don't think it's going to prevent you from DXing. So you could keep it like that if it's not too much of a problem. Or else, yeah, ask what's the shipping cost and how much it would be, and see if it's worth it. You know, if it's, I don't know, if it's $20 or $30 shipping, I would do it because I would that you know, it would be fixed. But if it's more than that, I don't actually do it. You know what? If it costs $60, would I send it back for $60? Knowing myself, at $60 or $70 that would cost shipping, I would probably keep it the way it is and continue using it, clipping the antenna. Even though I know it's not the best and it's not the most efficient way, it still works, honestly. And I don't think you got a lot of loss there for sure. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Dennis, WA9326SWL, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois. We have Dennis, nice to have you here. We have Trimballi, Mr. Bale, near Portland, Oregon, with freshly returned 4080 meter dipole. Cool. Currently downloading weather faxes from Kodiak, Alaska. Cool. Never heard Kodiak. Never makes it here on the East Coast, which is sad. I would love to hear that station at least once. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. Dennis Vargetzi, nice to have you here. I think it's the third time I'm saying hello to you. Mark Cup, nice to have you on board. Hi, Brawler from Arkansas. What else? Keegan, XN80Xer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Rob, I already said hello. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Kamagzi 1976, nice to have you here from Michigan. Carl Icon, nice to have you here from New York. It's Wednesday night. James Johnson, nice to have you on board from Chicago. 30 inches of snow on the ground. Wow, that is a lot of snow. Even for Montreal, that is a lot of snow. Osakama, nice to have you on board. Joe, nice to have you on board from the Shenandoah. Do I pronounce that right? Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. Snow Puppy, 77. Nice to have you here. Steve, nice to have you on board from Australia. Nice warm day in Melbourne. Have a port multi-coupler, same as yours, Jill, but a VHF UHF version for my scanners. Very happy with it. Cool. I'm been testing it for almost 48 hours. Well, since yesterday morning, because I had the connectors and the cables. I'm very happy. It works great. It really works great. So Bobby Burgess is saying, for many Americans, a weather alert radio will be nice by now for sure. Yeah, I've seen a lot of reports about, especially about Texas. You guys are having a hard time down there. It's cold and lots of power outages. Hope things get better. Get better soon. Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you on board from Brazil, listening to the shortwaves with his Texan PL660. Great little radio. Snowpuppy 77, agree on weather alert radio in the USA. I would really enjoy listening to NOAA weather radio. You know, that's why these services need to be to continue. I just look at here in Canada, where they started to close down some of the Environment Canada VHF weather channels. And I don't find that it's a good idea. They have the impression that we get our weather always from the internet. Yeah, when things go right, maybe we do. But in a power outage, the internet doesn't work anymore. And even if you have a smartphone, if you're going camping or you're going in a more, more remote area, very often because of the height of the transmitter sites, we still get at least one weather station. So we get warned about, not only do we know the weather, but we get warnings if something bad happens. So I don't know who is deciding this, but I think that they totally don't understand what exactly it's all about. And especially if you're someone that has one of the weather alert, radios, that's bad news when they shut down. So I hope that they don't shut down more, because I think it's a really, really bad idea to do so. And I think the people that take that decision don't understand that. Yeah, you don't know what we use this for, actually, and it's very important. Here in Canada, we do get really bad thunderstorms in the summertime. There are tornado warnings from time to time. In the winter time, well, the big snowstorms and the ice storms and all of that, knowing what's the weather like and what it's going to be is important. So, Mark Elford, nice to have you here from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Joe Gomez, nice to have you here. We have William Helms. How far did the cork fly? I held it in my hand. I don't let it fly because there's too many things that are breakable in this room. So, you just have to let it go, and it breaks exactly something you don't want. So I always keep it in my hand to make sure it doesn't fly off. But there are some close calls. I remember once opening one just before I did the live show, and I was not really holding it well, and the cork actually flew off the bottle without me even. I just removed the little metal holder, but by chance my hand was up above the bottle, so it hit my hand, but it was flying off, like, without any help. It just was. There was so much pressure in that bottle that it just was, leaving the bottle. James Johnson, nice to have you here. Got a noise problem again. Was enjoying tuning around the band Saturday night, nice and quiet. It was like somebody flipped the switch, and I've noise ever since. Oh man. That's always um, the sad thing about our hobby. Getting to a point where there's noise and you don't really know where it comes from. That's enough to drive you crazy. Here I have a lot of noise sources. Most of them I have no idea where the noise comes from. It sounds almost like I live in a bubble of noise. It's just a big bubble of noise, and that's it. Kimberly, nice to have you here from California. K6YYL. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here, Glenn. Always cool to have all of you aboard the live show. Mark Cope, send a snow removal cruise to Texas. Man, wish I could. Joe Gomez, besides today's Saturday live show, do you have another broadcast on YouTube? As for live shows, no. I post videos on the different channels that I have, but these are the two only live shows that I have right now. There used to be a time when I had 5 different live shows going on. One on the tech show. One was on the 2 on the tech show. 2 was one was the just a live tech show answering people's question. The second was a kind of a technology 101 type, learn technology, where we had about an hour show talking about a subject. There was From the Couch show that I did with my nephew, that was a lot of fun because it was nice to have somebody else, a co-host, and do some. And we had, of course, after that, often we were a little drunk, so we would go live on the old computer museum channel, where we would do some retro gaming with old Commodore computers and stuff, which was a lot of fun. And of course, there was a shortwave show also. But you learn after a while that it's a lot of commitment. Doing a live show is something that takes a lot of energy. And when you do too much, you burn out. So at one point, actually, at that time, I had these 5 shows going, and I was burning myself. I was at a point where I didn't want to do any live shows anymore at all. I just, I was getting, I was going crazy doing that. So I did 2 things to fix that. One, I sat down and decided, okay, first of all, From the Couch couldn't continue because my nephew had a new job, so it meant it was impossible to do anymore. Then, apart from that, I sat down and I sat down and I thought about what shows I like doing and what shows are draining more energy and not really interesting. And I found out that the tech shows were the most difficult to do, and the ones that I didn't really like to do at a certain point. At the beginning was fun, but I lost the fun in it. When you lose the fun in something, it's better to stop. And that year, a couple of years ago, I took many weeks off. I did even from the shortwave shows. Took like a summer break. One, to kind of recharge the batteries, and at the same time rethink, okay, what should I do? What live show should I do? And finally came up with mostly a shortwave show, because this one, is not a problem. It's not, I don't, it's not that, like everything in life, there are days where, I go live and I'm not necessarily, I don't necessarily feel like it, but it's the commitment that I've done. But in general, this is the show that I like doing, because it's something that I like, and there's something different about this, the shortwave radio show and the radio shows in general. And of course, the other thing that drives you towards a live show is the amount of people watching. My tech channel has, my Windows and computer channel has way more subscribers than here, but for some reason, and this is the funny part of numbers. So you got subscribers to a channel, and you've got the people that show up on the live show, and you're like, how come I have 5 times more people subscribed there, but I've got the 10th of people watching the live show? While here it was a much smaller subscriber count, but a much bigger audience. And you look at that and you're like, that is weird. Why is it like that? It's something you look at and you're like, I don't get it. So that's where you see that subscriber counts on the YouTube channels don't necessarily reflect a following. They reflect that sometimes somebody somewhere at some point clicks subscribe, but might not be following you at all anymore. And that subscribe still exists, so that count is still there, but that person might not be following you anymore. And what I found out is that here it's much more of a friendly following that's happening. It's more of a bunch of guys that, maybe because, I don't know, I've sometimes wondered about it, and I thought, well, maybe because there's not a lot of other people around us to talk radio. And this place is giving an opportunity for something that is difficult to find, that is sharing about our passion. Where, computers, everybody talks about computers everywhere. Even people that don't know much about computers talk about computers. It's not the same thing. You talk about computers everywhere. You go to work, you'll talk about somebody will talk to you about some computer problem they have, or you might talk about some new computer thing you have, or but you don't go to work and say, hey, I got a text in PL990X yesterday. This is so cool, because they're all going to look at you like, that's there. Like, what the hell did you just say? And you might not want to continue the conversation. So it's a different thing. I think that might be one of the reasons why the audience is more loyal and more interesting here. And it's the way it is, and it's cool. I'm enjoying a big push also on my channel here, the official Shortwave channel. I was looking at the stats just before I came on. From last month, my views are up 35%. And I'm getting like a big push of new viewers and of video views, and more I post videos here that after a couple of days I've passed the 1,000 view mark per video, which is really nice. So it shows that there are more engaged people watching here and enjoying the videos that I post. And if you note, I'm not, I could be doing one thing, spamming the Facebook group with my videos, and saying, hey, this is my new video, this is my new video, which I'm not doing at all. I'm rarely posting a video of mine on the Facebook group. So it obviously doesn't need that push necessarily. So it's kind of cool. But for the live shows, it's really the two shows we're at. And we do have one, not to forget, of course, the first Sunday of the month, first Sunday of every month, there's a VHF UHF live show that happens on Sunday, the first Sunday of the month at 21 hours Universal Time. But that's on the official VHF UHF channel where we talk about the world above 30 megahertz. So, Ray Erdink, nice to have you here, Ray, from the UK, G7POQ. First time for a Wednesday show, yeah, because you're pretty late over there. Nice to have you here on the Wednesday show. Call Icon says these ice storms pileups like in Texas never used to happen back when everyone had CBs. Charles, nice to have you on board, says, have you done a compare between the new Texan 330 and the XH Data D808 since they have comparable price points and are both DSP radios? That's going to come up now that I have the antenna coupler and the proper cabling. It's easy for me to test in the same exact conditions, two portables. So it's in the list. I'm going to do a Texan 330 XH Data D808, a Texan 330 C Crane, a Texan 330 with a PL 680, a Texan 330 with the Ethon executive satellite with SSB and so on. There's going to be a lot of compare, and of course there's going to be compare of other radios together also. So I think this is going to be really, really cool. So it's going to be on the channel within the next few days to a week. So hang in there. We're going to check it out. Maybe that's going to be the first test. Texan PL330 and XH Data D808 together. It's going to be cool. It was fun testing out yesterday the desktop receivers and the Texan PL990X, which honestly pulls its weight. I mean, when you listen to the Texan PL990X, its audio, its reception was very good, and you could easily compare it to the big gun receivers. I know a lot of guys like the ICOM, but it's kind of cool. Gisa, nice to have you here from Costa Rica. Nice to have you on board, and hope that everything's all right over there. Simon Templar, nice to have you here, my friend. Robert Cross, nice to have you on board. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from North Carolina, KM4WRQ. We have, oops, let me just check it out here. Just go down here. I'm a little far behind. We're going to try to get as far down as I can. Tremelli, Mr. Bell says, I use a multicoupler. Tell us the story of how they got there. It wasn't by UPS. No, wasn't by UPS. So I got the multicoupler on Monday night. So if you guys that haven't had the story, I purchased the multicoupler from the company in the United States. I guess it was Monday, roughly a little more than 2 weeks ago. They shipped via UPS, and the tracking said it would be here on. It first said it'd be here on Wednesday, so that was not Wednesday of last week, but the week before. Which made me happy because I wanted to do some little, unboxing live here, which didn't happen because late in the afternoon, UPS sent me an email and that said that unfortunately the shipping date has been changed for Thursday. So it's like, oh, okay. Thursday morning, my phone vibrates. I'm still in bed. My phone is vibrating. I'm looking. I pick it up and look at what's what am I? Was it a text message or anything? It's a email from UPS that says, "Oh, by the way, your package is delivered at the front door." So I get up and quickly go downstairs and look, and there's no box. There's nothing. And I know that here what happens a lot. For some reason, I'm on 9th Avenue. There's they often see the 9 and the 8 and mix up. So I get there's a woman that has the same apartment number on 8 that sometimes I get her mail and I go and actually give her back. And sometimes it's the other way around. She gets my mail and she brings it to me. So, that happened from time to time. And so I, I showered. I figured, okay, it's the other place. And I know that the date, man, I'm just this close to sneezing. So, in the daytime, she works. So I know that if they left it at the door, I know where it probably is. So I showered and I went to see. There's nothing there either. And I was like, wow, this is weird. It's not here. It's not there. That's bizarre. So I filed in the afternoon, filed a complaint. Not even in the afternoon, like half an hour after that email. I filed a complaint at UPS and said, well, I don't have the package. And the other thing that is sure is nobody, UPS, look, I'm sure UPS never came here because one thing for sure is that they ring the doorbell and I would have heard the doorbell. If anybody would have heard my doorbell here, which is a kind of a buzzer, even when you're sleeping, that thing wakes you up. It is crazy. And they did not come here and they did not ring the doorbell. That is a positive thing. And so in my comments in the complaint. And so I filed a complaint, and then in like the next day, my the tracking changed from delivered to when I go into the details to searching for package because I had sent everything. I sent a copy of the invoice and all the fees and everything, and I said, "Look, you guys owe me $300 because that thing did not get delivered, and that's it." So it said, searching for package. It still says today, by the way, searching for package with a little yellow triangle at the UPS website. So I was mad because, like, okay, didn't get a multicoupler. And so I waited and I looked at my options. I really wanted one, but at the same time, they only ship to Canada through UPS. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to deal with UPS another time. For anybody, for you guys that don't know, here in Canada, we avoid UPS at all costs when we get packages from the United States because of bad service, but also because of fees that are always very high. So we get these fees that you look at the fees that they charge, and you're like, yeah. So I bought a $100 item, and they're charging $48 of fees. It's like half the price of the darn thing I asked for. So you get to a point where, yeah, I don't want to. We're not using UPS ever again. But here I had no choice, and I really wanted the multicoupler, so it's like, okay, for once, I'm going to get screwed by UPS again, but let's do it. So, anyways, Monday. So today was Wednesday. Monday, I was not expecting. I was expecting a package in the morning, which I got, and I was not expecting any other packages. I had nothing in the packages, so I was like, okay. I not expecting anything. Around 6 p.m., almost 6 p.m. in early evening, doorbell rang. And I'm like, what? I'm not, I'm not waiting for anything. So I go and look. There's a box. And when I see the box and I see that's UPS and everything, I'm like, oh, that's my UPS package. But nobody to be seen. at first, it's like, oh wow, UPS dropped it there. What, the guy was too shy and said, hey, I'm not waiting for this guy to give me crap because the package was lost. No, there was a little posted on the top, a little green post-it sticked on the top, and written in hand by hand, it said, hello, I got this package delivered to my home, but it's yours. Have a nice evening. It's all that it said. Now, it's sad because if that person would have stayed, I would have given her $20 to thank that person for bringing me my package, because it is a three, it comes more than 300 Canadian dollars, that little multi-coupler, with the exchange and the fees and everything. So, what's $20 more in thanking that person? But that person didn't stay. I don't know if she was scared that I would, ask questions or anything. So, anyways, I got the box. And the box was not open. Nobody tampered the box. It's obvious when you look at it that nothing had been attempted to open the box in any way. It was totally intact. So I was happy to have it. But obviously, UPS is still lost, because obviously it still says that they don't know where the package is. So, I'm going to let them do their investigation and see what they actually come back with. But it's crazy. Something obviously was very, very fishy in that package, in the delivery and everything. So weird. Okay, let's try to pick up the pace here because I'm half an hour behind. What else do we have? HB, do you have any JRC receivers? Nope. I've often drooled over seeing them, but I've never owned one. But they are so beautiful and really good performers. Thomas in Ohio, nice to have you here. PL368. So PL368 is the PL330. Sorry. PL368 is like the PL365, which is a little portable that also is known as the ContiCom GP5. But it adds a keypad and a few other features, so it looks really interesting. Kimberly, yes, in April, if everything's all right, I actually sent my request to follow the amateur radio course online. So it would be 4 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, for 4 weekends in a row, and then pass the amateur test. So yes, that would be coming in April. I'm waiting for the comeback of the Amateur Radio Club to confirm that we're going to have the Zoom meeting for that, because it's going to be virtual via Zoom. So I'm crossing my fingers. Joe Michaels, nice to have you on board. Can I recommend a good emergency radio? Well, you know what? If you want a radio that works well, and it's a little more expensive, but it really works well and has the weather channels. The Sea Crane CC Skywave SSB, I would say that is one that is very positive for that reason. Anybody that is looking into a radio that would have the NOAA weather channels, CC Skywave SSB brings you airband, shortwave, medium wave, and it brings you the NOAA weather channels for and with weather alert feature. So that is maybe would be one of the choices. I don't recommend a lot of I would call them the emergency radios that we usually see, like with the hand cranks and everything, because almost all of them over time I've noticed are very crappy. And a lot break down easily with the hand crank and all of that. So I don't really like recommending those. I would, much more recommend the CC Skywave SSB, for example. If you want to have shortwave and everything on it. But there's a lot of these little radios, like got one here.
Got one here. This is one of those emergency weather alerts radios. These are meant to be only for a weather alert and receive the weather. You say. So this is a French language. And they have a feature where it, for example, if I press weather, it gives me the weather cycle. It like gives me the weather channel for maybe 5 minutes. Then it shuts off and it stays in a alert mode. And if something is happening in bad weather, it actually will either alert with a siren or a just the squelch will open and give me the weather if something happens. By the way, guys, if you want to say hello through email, for those that are not in the chat, please do so. I'm looking at the email here, official shortwaveradio@gmail.com. There is Elizabeth that says hello from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And that is nice to have you here, Elizabeth, as usual. She says she always enjoys the show. Thank you for what you do. So, and you can, of course, if you are watching, why not say hi and let us know that you are there. I'll be checking that regularly in the next, during the show, actually. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. Nice to have you on board. VE2FJG. Nice to have you on board. And glad to listen to the Shortwave show. Cool. Glad to have you here. Joe Rotman from the Chicago area. Nice to have you here. Jerry DX. Hello, Jerry DX. Kevin says, Anonco says they would fix it, but no engineers till March. They are on Chinese holiday. Well, email me the price in March. It's up to you. See what how much they charge and what will be the charge, and maybe it could be worth it, depending on the amount, and see how much you would be willing to pay to have it fixed. It is true that having a good working radio with everything perfect is nice. Sometimes these are the little glitches, the little things that kind of make us a little mad. Randall Klontz, nice to have you here from Chicago. KW1161, nice to have you here from Tucson, Arizona. Mika Delmage, nice to have you here from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Jimmy Jamjar, nice to have you here from Tasmania. VK7JAM. JAM. Nice to have you here, Jim. So pretty cool to see people from all the way to the other side of the world in Australia. We have Chris66. Nice to have you here. Back in Kentucky after being in Arizona. Big temperature difference and snow. Cool. Vince, salut. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you here. From just outside of Montreal. Joe Rotman missed picking up a Mint Grundig 700 here locally for $100. Looks like someone bought it and is selling it for $450. Oh man, yeah, $100. That would have been a nice radio for $100. There was actually an interesting conversation yesterday on 160 meters while I was tuning around this 160 meter band. There's this bunch of guys talking about radios and equipment and where they get equipment and where they go when they want to have something. And so one guy said, well, when I want to have some good rigs, I wait for the Hamfest. And the other guy was telling him, well, if you want to have good rigs, you don't wait for the Hamfest. The Hamfest always is, crap and garbage and stuff. And but they came to talking about the price of radios. And that was very interesting because the guy was saying, don't look too interested in a radio, because when you actually look that like you're very interested, a lot of the hams and the Hamfests start boosting the price, thinking that they're going to sell you that thing for a big price. And he says that's sad because he says it's they end up asking prices that are completely out of what is reality. And he says they end up keeping the radio because they're just asking too much. And he says it gets at some point it gets a little sad. And he was saying that he actually had seen I think it was a Kenwood transceiver, and one guy had asked the price earlier, and he said, well, the guy was selling it for 175. And so he thought, hey, that would be a great rig if it works well. 175 would be as a price point I would like. So he goes there, but he looked really interested. So when he actually got to that point, when he actually asked for the radio's price, because he looked really interested, the guy was asking like $400. And he said, well, he told another guy 175, and it ended up like, well, I'm not selling it. And he says, it's crazy. People are trying to really screw us with these old radios. And it was the same thing that we see on eBay. Man, people on eBay are completely nuts. The radios are not where the prices are sold on eBay most of the time. It's pretty crazy. Chris66 says, downloaded and watched your past broadcasts while traveling. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Happy to be here and happy to help out. VT Radio, nice to have you here. Yep, Rush Limbaugh passed away today. And he was very popular and although very controversial persona, but was a big AM and radio in general guy. First time I heard Rush Limbaugh, because here in Canada we don't hear much of these of these guys that you have down there. First time I learned of the existence of Rush Limbaugh here is in the 90s when there was a lot of skip in the peak of solar activity. And I would get every day, almost every day on the afternoon, I would get WFLA in Tampa Bay, Florida. On 25870, they had a FM studio to transmitter link. And I always found that cool because I could use that FM button on my Kenwood or 5000. And the afternoons and the weekdays, it was the Rush Limbaugh show. So I heard Rush Limbaugh so many times through that outlet. That was when I actually had my first encounter with Rush Limbaugh and his way of doing radio. What else do you have? Ray Erding, wait till the official export version is out for the Texan 368, because there's a few bugs on the Chinese version. So, Canadian radio TV guy. How ironic, just finished editing a review video of the Ethon FRX5BT weather radio. Oh, cool. Yogi, nice to have you here. Good morning. What else do we have? Rufus Newton, the Laurentian Valley, Ontario, all out there. Lawrence Smith, nice to have you here. Joe Cowell, nice to have you here from Nebraska. HP, do you have a long wired 3 miles long to receive secret submarine communications? Not really. In a big city like I live, I'm lucky to have 3 feet long wires outdoor. So the longest antenna I have is a sloper in the backyard, which is roughly 80 feet long. Jetcrafter, nice to have you here from southern Maine. Yep, absolutely, Matt. Even a job we love, you got to have your off days. Absolutely, that's for sure. So yeah. Problem, Canadian radio TV guy, you're saying that Texas might not be a bad place to do some shortwave listening with the grids down there. That is, out the power outages. Problem is, usually when you're in that mode, you're not in radio mode. You're in survival mode. Sid Vic, nice to have you here. Sid from Gander, Newfoundland, Canada. David, KJ4CMY in Central Georgia. Good evening. What else do we have? So, Dan, nice to have you here from Ohio. Bob says checking in from the New York metro area and to DET. Nice to have you here. RJDA Dakota. Good evening. Nice to have you on board, my friend. KW1161 says, I was just reading in Shortwave listening post that Dyson is selling the Texan K101. The Texan H501, yeah, for $230. But not sure to export out of China. Yeah. And that's another example of maybe waiting because it's not the export version yet. It might suffer bugs also. But I saw the post go through, absolutely. Because most places are asking like around $400 for it. So, it's just crazy. Mark Elford, wife does not allow modes, megahertz, kilohertz, antenna names, lengths in the house, doesn't care if I'm grounded properly. Tristan, nice to have you here. Good evening from Newfoundland and back into full lockdown. Oh, man, play with the radio. That's the best you can do. Here we have the curfew starting at 8 p.m., so it's starting in a few minutes. But we're still in a kind of a lockdown for at least another month. Things are getting better, but they're not necessarily getting better. And now they're scaring us with a third wave if things don't change. It's pretty crazy. Hey, Tim Robinson, nice to have you on board. Hope you are well, my friend. Long time no see. Hope everything is all right in your neck of the woods, and that things are getting better. And nice to have you on board, my friend, from all the way from the UK, for sure. Estrella Garcia, nice to have you here, Estrella. Ciao, Samda Nuance, nice to have you here from Brazil. Shortwave to give a break on my mind while I'm COVID-19 suspect. Oh, darn. Well, stay safe and take care of yourself, my friend. Radio is the best way to, keep your mind off of that and enjoy the time that you have, out of work, out of meeting up people. Live shows like this and the radio in general, I think it's a great place to be. Oh, here we don't have porch pirates. UPS, what can Brown lose for you? Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, no, my porch pirates are not a problem in general here. I've never had any packages stolen or anything. So, Joe Michaels, UPS delivered to me a broken computer monitor. Had to prove that they broke it if they send me another one delivered by FedEx. Wow. And, how do you... sometimes it's like, Yep, there's still honesty in this world, absolutely. Somebody, Mr. Bell, if Shill would do old school fan mail, oh man. I still remember, if you guys that don't know the story, I worked at the post office for 2 full days. There was a Canada Post strike. I was 17 years old. And it was in the summer. And so they hired scabs. They wanted to have people deliver the mail. So they did like quick hirings. And me and my best friend, Jean-Pierre, we decided together to go to give our names. And they hired us immediately because it's like, it's complicated. We just need people that want to work. And it was crazy times. They would bring us to the post office in buses with security guards because everybody outside was on strike. And they were mad that guys were coming in and doing their jobs or they were on strike, which is kind of understandable. But we never did really do a lot. So, but I learned how to, to put the mail in the little, they had these little little boxes, and you would just like take the mail and put them in the proper box so that for the address that was on the envelope and so on. It was all done by hand, and everybody had a box that was pretty small in general. I come to my address because as I'm putting the stuff there, I noticed that I'm coming close to my postal address, and I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm going to see my little box. But it's because I was receiving tons of stuff from the shortwave stations with big envelopes. Everybody's box was this big. My box was like this big because there was too much stuff and too many big envelopes. There wasn't enough space in the small boxes there. So they had a bigger box for my address, which I found absolutely funny at the time. I'm not Chuck. My replacement mic for the IC 7300 was shipped from Kirkland, Washington, 11 February. As of today, it has gotten to Oregon. That's via FedEx. There's no promised delivery date. Yeah. Like I'm going to say a lot is, and I say it often, is I think, we're more than a year into COVID now. I think there's way too much COVID bashing, too much taking COVID as a victim, as a reason why your thing is not going to arrive on time. I think, get over it. It's more than a year now. You're used to it. Kamagzi 1976 says hello, Elizabeth. Everybody says hello, Elizabeth, all the time. Caveman, nice to have you on board. We have Ray Erding says, what made you choose the MCA 104M over the Conicom one, please? Also, would one covering HF, VHF, UHF be worthwhile? The only reason is because it was pointed to me, I think, Matt MDK2 at purchase one, and liked it. So on his recommendation and the fact that he liked it, I actually hit that button and purchased it. I liked the fact that it had, the way it was done. It seemed to be very high quality too. So I didn't really think twice, and I just clicked the buy button because I really needed one. If you do a lot of HF, VHF, UHF stuff, yeah, it possibly could be worth it. They must be much more expensive though, but but it could be if you do a lot of above, this one goes up to 50 megahertz. But if you do a lot of go to the UHF, there are some models that go higher. Absolutely, it could be worth it. Norm Akers, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Joe says, I have a Skywave. The issue I have with it is will only provide weather alerts for 16 hours. After that, you have to set it again. Oh, that's okay. I didn't know that. So that's the kind of the sad part. It doesn't stay on all the time. Okay. What else do we have? Matt says local Amfest I attended was mostly crap too. Yeah, so it was fun because the conversation was, well, if you want to have good stuff, you don't buy it at the Hamfest. You buy it at the decent place like, Ham Radio Outlet or something. And it was a nice conversation to hear though. It was, I like the 160 meters. I noticed that the guys that take the time to go down to that frequency range, 160 meters, tend to also have a lot more technical conversations in general, less prostate problems. Gerardo, nice to have you here from Michigan. Is there powered amplifier similar than the one that comes with the MLA30 that I can buy and add to a long wire antenna to improve signal and reduce noise? So here's the thing. The reason why an MLA30 reduces the noise is because it's a magnetic loop. It's designed that actually prevents the loop from getting part of the noise signature, if you want. So wire antenna is noisy by default, and so if you first of all have an amplifier for the long wire, it's just going to amplify everything, including the noise, and it isn't really going to reduce your noise much, honestly. So yeah, Tim Robinson. I hate, I was I did a rant video on the Windows channel, or not on another channel, talking about those scalpers of graphics cards and game consoles, and that they should the companies making the graphics cards and the game consoles should have these guys shut down, because it's like just scalpers of technology, basically. Keegan says, I think Limbaugh show aired on WLS in Chicago and KRMG in Tulsa. Huh. What else do we have? Caveman, any thoughts on the Texan S2000? The only things that I've seen in general of that radio is that it's okay, but it's not necessarily the best. It lacks a little bit, and I think I've read somewhere it overloads easily also. So I'm not sure about that Texan S2000. It is nice, good-looking radio, but not necessarily the best you could get. Joe Michaels would listen to Reshawn WJR Detroit. Zoof, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Recently dug up my late grandfather's National Panasonic DR22 8-band receiver and got course books to get my amateur license. Love the stream, very educational. Cool, welcome aboard, my friend, and good luck on that ham radio license there. Chris, G7VEO, no Amfests in lockdown here, missing haggling the prices. Yeah, well, there's a certain something of Hamfests, absolutely. Darren Pierce, nice to have you here from Australia. Nice to have you on board. Heading to 23 centigrade today. That's warm. That's pretty warm. Really, really warm there. Let's try to go down here. Joseph Hickenbaum, nice to have you here, Joseph, from California. Beard is looking great. Yeah, it's I never thought I could grow a beard, really, and it's by just letting it grow that it came to this. I don't know what to do. I'm halfway. There's a half of me that wants to like trim it to be much shorter, and the other half is saying, hey, you got a beard. You wanted one? You got it. I don't know. Oh, man. What else do we have? Ray Interding says, yeah, keys show no interest. Especially when the things are big, like big radios that take a lot of space and are heavy. It's like, you ignore it until the end, and at the end, he doesn't, they don't want to bring that back. So they give you a really good deal because they just don't want to bring it back. Baz747. Nice to have you here from New Jersey. Chuck CV Davis. Any good advice on cleaning dust from within my shortwave radio screen? Yeah, you're really talking in the between inside the front glass and the display itself. I always wondered, first of all, I had a couple of radios over the years that had dust go there, and I was like, how can the dust go in there? It was always kind of weird, You could look carefully. Sometimes you got to be very careful because you could easily break it, but sometimes the front glass or plastic transparent glass is like just clipped on the borders, and when you just kind of pry a little bit on the border of the plastic case of the radio, sometimes you could actually take the screen off, but it's not that easy. Sometimes what you could do, if it's not too complicated, is just take the panel off. So if you can take all the cover off Often you have the cover and the plastic is there, so you can click, or the glass is there. But I have to say, it's not always easy, and depending on how technical you are and how if for you it's an easy task or not to open a radio and put it apart a little bit. Sometimes it's just better to leave it the way it is. But I always wondered how the hell does dust get in there? I'm not Chuck. I have a like new Texan 600, but I can't find the wall wart. What should I ask for? For the 600, is mine close? I don't see it. I think it's the same as the 680 though. It's a 6, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 6 volts power adapter. What you need is the good voltage. So on the radio here, I'm going to take as an example, my Texan PL 680, which is very close. So when you look at the power plug, you have everything is written here. So here it says how much volts. And so if I look here on mine, it says 6 volts. So it needs a 6 volt power supply. And you have a little drawing that says that with a plus and a minus, the center point is negative. So you usually have like a circle and you have a dot in the middle. That dot in the middle is the center connector, which in this case here is negative, and I believe it's the same thing for the 600. So 6 volts power supply, negative center. Do not buy switching power supplies because you'll not really use them. And as long as it's at least 300 milliamps, it's all right. You don't really have the milliamps doesn't matter that much. Even if it would say 1 amp, 6 volts, 1 amp, it doesn't matter. The radio only draws what it needs. It doesn't draw more electricity. So the important is to have the proper polarity and voltage. And I think this is the same. So it's 6 volts negative center is what you need. For the rest, if you find something that's 300 milliamp hour or 300 milliamps, 400 milliamps, 500 milliamps, whatever, it's fine. SoCal, nice to have you here from San Diego. Tim Robinson, all good. Moved on in life. Cool. Loving the beard, rocking it. Thank you, man. Nice to know that things are going well on your side. It's nice to have you on board tonight. What else do we have? Joe Michaels found a long range AM Radio Shack radio for $2 at a used store. Works great. Cool. That's the kind of bargain that's really, really nice. Boris Lessa, nice to have you here from Brasilia, Brazil. When I see Brasilia, always reminds me of radio, which was the English broadcast from Radio Nacional do Brasil in the 80s. Man, I love to listen to that in the evening. TVDX, bonjour. Oui, ça va bien. J'espère que tu vas bien, toi aussi. Trim Valley, Mr. Bell. Once you could look like Pawn Stars who wore a red shirt and a hat. This is actually a shirt of CKUT. So this is because, for those that know that with Sheldon, I'm co-host of the International Radio Report on CKUT. So this is the actual CKUT shirt. One of the shirts. They have a lot of shirts, but this is one of the shirts that I picked up. CKUT 90.3 FM. A couple of years ago when I did when I gave money at the fund drive. So it's an actual CKUT shirt. What else do we have? Caveman, there's no way technology that's as old as a radio should cost as much as it often does. It's a shame. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll do great, Kimberly. I did a lot of testing online on the online tests. I always have really good scores. So, I think it's going to be quite all right. Lou Braga, nice to have you here. K3TPP in New York. Nice to have you here. Tom Robinson, COVID doesn't stop me delivering food to people's homes. 20 minutes late, and I would be on the boss's carpet. Yeah, well, if everything's all right, and that's the important thing. Caveman says Priam marked the last German number station as inactive, but it's resurfaced again. It's possible. We have quite a few interesting mysteries lately. A few people, quite a few people hearing number stations and asking me, you know what, I got a number station on that frequency at that time, and I searched Priam, and I cannot find on Priam any schedules or even anything that says that frequency is used with that. That's where there's a group that has a little publication on their site. Let me just check it out here. It's the Numbers and Oddities group, and they have they have this nice little newsletter that they issue, and just so when you look at they have the Spooks, Numbers and Oddities, and the which is AKA the Spooks newsletter, as they call it, and that's updated. So the one that there's here is January 2021, edition 280. There's a lot of stuff in there that is mysterious, and the frequencies and things that they have logged. I'm just gonna give you guys the website, Numbers and Oddities. Check that out, and they often mention something that we often talk about, which is the mysterious signals that pop in here and there with numbers, and that we seem to never hear again. And I'm starting to think that if there's the Priam lists with our schedules that are regular, but I'm starting to think that there's as many, if not more, number stations that not only do they have one-time pads, they have one-time frequency and time, and they never show up there again after a certain time. So that would explain some of you hearing stuff that you don't know where it comes from and never heard again. Could explain the one that I heard, which was that Morse code that seems to be sent by a human in the 3 megahertz range the other day that never popped up again. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding all of that. And in there, they have quite a few things that are mysterious that you can check out also. And I like these things. I like these little kind of mysterious magazines like that talk about these oddities, and it gives us, it gives me the I want to listen more, because I look at that and I'm like, I want to find out these weird and mysterious transmission all over the band, Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. James Johnson delivered packages for 30 years. It was no fun. Everybody wanted the package quicker than you could get it there. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm not a guy that that goes crazy over the time that it takes, as long as it's reasonable. It's understandable that there's a limit to how fast it can get something somewhere, depending on what the type of shipping you're going to pay for. But I'm sure that there must be some people out there that are just like, really going crazy because after 2 days they don't have a package or something. That's for sure. Cool, Rufus. Kimberly, are you drinking anything today? Yeah, I'm drinking I'm back at the good old Fin du Monde beer, which is the 9% triple Belgian style ale. You're drinking a 2 Bootleggers Kentucky Mule Bourbon Whiskey, lime juice, and ginger beer. Drinking while instant pot spaghetti and meatballs. I taste that. That sounds good. And of course, the spaghetti and meatballs. I'm always open for spaghetti and meatballs. So I should be there just after the show if it's okay with you. F6 BNL. Louis Descombes, j'imagine que c'est Jean-Louis Descombes. Bonjour de la France. F6 BNL, c'est toujours un plaisir d'avoir des amis français. Tim Robinson says, no problem. I totally understand. Take care, my friend. It's late over there. Absolutely. What else do we have? What else is there? Let me just go down. So best wishes, Tim. Chess Tank, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky. Michael Thompson, nice to have you on board. Shelly, oh my God, so happy to be here. Just spent almost a week in the hospital. Hope things are getting better, Shelly. And nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. Time to watch a live show, enjoy radio, and take it easy. Okay, man, are you familiar with the broadcaster who goes by the name Brother Stare? I've heard he's been involved. Yeah, he's still waiting. I don't know why, if it's COVID or what, but I believe he's still waiting to go to court because of all the crap that happened there. So it's crazy. It's totally crazy. I like the only broadcast I like from him is the morning sessions, where it makes a great Halloween show. John Hummel, what's the longest DX station you have listened to? You mean the one that is from the most distant, the biggest distance I've ever had a DX station? That's a little. DXing is dependent on all sorts of things. So, of course, distance is one aspect of interesting that you look at, of course, of interest. But it's not just that. And the reason why is technically Radio Australia is one of the greatest DX when it was on, because it's on the other side of the world, pretty much at the farthest point I can receive a signal. But I never really put Radio Australia in the DX aspect of it, because it was a powerful shortwave broadcaster. So that was a station that would get here easily in the morning. So it's not just distance you got to look for. It's distance and the type of signal and power used that really makes distance Sorry, guys. I got a little something in the throat. So basically, the thing is, if I would say what's the biggest DX I've ever had, well, things like Radio Saint Helena, that when they broadcast once a year on 11092.5 from the South Atlantic island of Saint Helena. That for me is DX because that was much more difficult to get. It was lower powered. If I'm not mistaken, they were using like only a few kilowatts. I don't remember the exact power, but it wasn't that powerful. Even more, I've heard amateur radio stations from Japan and a couple from Australia that were barely using about 100, 150 watts in single sideband. So for me, that's DX. 100 watts that makes it all across the world to me is really DX. There's DX also that I count to and I call DX, which is not only they might be a little more powerful, but they're not directed to us. Like, when there were African stations all over the place and a lot of stations. And, I remember hearing the Seychelles and hearing, so many of the African countries with very low powered transmitters. I would call DX, for example, the 4VEH and ET that I would hear, which was not very strong. And but even though much closer, it's really a mix of what's the power antenna used for the distance. DX could be very close to you, honestly. And of course, depending on the frequency range. That's for sure. Gerardo, what do you know about the new Texan H501? It's a big radio. So it's a bigger radio. Count it as being, take a Texan PL990X like I have and add a second speaker on the other side of the control buttons. And it's about that size. So put 2 times the speaker and the radio's buttons in front, one next to each other. It's pretty much its size. What it seems to be, from a lot of what I've read and seen, it seems to be a Texan PL990X, in which they modified it a bit and added a second speaker to it. So, for example, in FM, you are in stereo. One thing for sure is that the export version is not available yet. It's still the Chinese version that is there. So that's one thing to be careful because of the bugs, for sure. Trimbelli, Mr. Bale is asking if anybody figured out what's the signal on 6780. Yeah, it is weird. It is very, very weird, for sure. What else do we have? Joe Michaels used to hear number station from Cuba, probably spies. Yeah, the number station from Cuba. But that one has been playing the same old thing all the time for a long time. It's almost as if somebody forgot about it. So there is a weather station, Caveman. There is a German weather station that broadcasts on the 49 meter band, 5905, I believe, is frequency. That is a weather station, a German weather station, and as it's in German language only. That could be what you heard. Mobile Armored Strike Command, ability to pick up and isolate a strange carrier or transmission from somewhere in the world in HF is indeed fascinating. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, fast load. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Keegan is. So what else we have? No, my Santa Claus costume is gone. I need to buy a new one. If I want to have one for this the Christmas of this year, I'll have to buy a new one. King is checking reception with the Ethon Elite Executive Radio with SSB. Cool, Kimberly. Thanks. Well, be nice. I'm gonna bring a bottle of wine if it's okay. That would be that would be nice. All we need is teleportation, and it's gonna be fixed. What else do we have? RJD Dakota says DX. I used to get a station on 4850, National Broadcasting on 4850. So yeah. CD4337. Anybody have an opinion on the BL5C batteries? Like, are they really that bad? Trying to decide between a PL330 and a Skywave SSB. You'll have more bang for, well, okay. It depends what you want to do. I wouldn't base my, I'll tell you honestly, I wouldn't base my purchase of a radio just on the battery it uses, first of all. Even though a BL5C or a an 18650, they're not that difficult to find anyways. The real reason you should decide on choosing which one you want is mostly on what they do. Both radios are great. Skywave SSB is you add the airband and the NOAA weather channels. PL330 has a better sound. PL330 is more precise in its tuning. Both have soft muting because both use the same DSP chip. So it's more of a of whether you want to have airband and NOAA weather channels extra more than anything else. I've got I purchased an external charger with batteries, BL5C batteries, to make sure that I have enough. I can't complain. The Texan PL330 comes with a 1000 milliamp hour BL5C. I never ran out of battery on it. It seems to use very low power when it's actually working. And I often been going. It's often been going, all day without any problems. So I don't choose it because of the battery. Choose the radio because of its features more than anything else. Take care, Ray. RG Dakota, Papua New Guinea. Yeah, that's DX. That's really DX. Aerial imaging. Nice to have you here. So what else do we have? Keegan, one of the farthest medium wave DX catches is KVI Seattle, Washington, under WNAX in South Dakota on 570. By the way, you guys at DX medium wave, New York's 1560 kilohertz station is off the air now. So you might hear stuff that you didn't hear before. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just check it out here. Go down. 6754 usually is is the weather from Trenton Military. And this time of at this time of the year, it's not one that I hear very often on that frequency. It probably skips over me. Probably skips over me. It's more of a summer thing on 6754 for me. Perfect, Kimberly. It's done. We'll meet for a nice lunch. Yeah, Mozit is not bad. It has a different taste to it, but yeah, it is a pretty good one. Pretty good one. So like I said, aerial imaging, 6754 Trenton Military. I almost never hear it in the winter time. It's really more regular in the summer. And probably because, propagation changes every month. And I get this question all the time. Why can't I hear something that I was listening to in, October? Well, it's, changing propagation. Every month, every season, the propagation is different. So some stations you'll notice that you hear in the summer easily, but not in the winter, and the other way around. So that's something that you need to also check for sure. Chastang WHAS 840 used to be a clear channel station, had good shows, but after Bingham sold it, it went downhill. Aerial imaging 4470 to 4490. What that signal is 4470 to 4470. I probably have a good idea already. So yeah, this is what you hear. The chirp sounds. That's CODAR, which is a type of oceanic radar. It detects the height of the waves and the direction of the ocean currents. There's a lot of that scattered around that frequency, around 4,500, 4,600 kilohertz. There's also some just in the 13 megahertz range, also around 13,500, 13,600, that you can hear sometimes in the daytime. So they check ocean waves with that. So it gives them an idea of the currents, the height of the waves, and so on. CODAR. Yogi says my longest medium wave DX is 1539 kilohertz from United Arab Emirates. Wow, that's nice, from Hong Kong. My on medium wave, the some of the good DX that I had, so that I could actually make out some voice and know that it's that station for sure. I had Norway on 13. Trying to remember the frequency, 1314 or somewhere in the 1300 kilohertz. What I could hear in early 90s, on the Kenwood 5000. Where I lived there was very low noise, and I had about 120 feet of wire outdoors. I got that station from Norway on medium wave. And it does. If I had lower noise and a little better antenna setup, when WCBS 880 did their antenna fixes last fall, and they went off the air for a couple of hours, I could hear, the 882 kilohertz, which was the BBC from the UK. It was not strong enough to get the voice, but it was the BBC from the UK on 882 kilohertz that I was actually getting. And even on the SDR here, I could see the trace on 882 that was there. So it doesn't take that much to actually get something. If I had lower noise and be able to get a better antenna outdoors for medium wave, that would be some interesting stuff to listen to for sure. Yeah, Caveman says always get better signals in the summer at sunset. Yeah, it depends on where and what you listen to. There's a pattern then you start following. For example, in the wintertime, what I like here in the East Coast is the fact that I can actually hear a lot of stations in the 49, 41, and 31 meter band mid-afternoon. So at like 3 p.m. local, I get all of these stations from, Africa, and from all the signals from Africa. The Madagascar relay station, crazy how good that relay is for signals here in North America. So many things from that transmitter site come in here so clear. And you have a lot of European stations also that come in quite well in the mid-afternoon. That changes as we move on towards spring. That will fade slowly off, and you get propagation on higher frequencies. As we get into spring and then summer, also the nighttime propagation changes. Some stations that I don't hear will come back, like Radio New Zealand, for example, which I really like to listen to in the summertime. So there's a lot of change depending on the days and the weeks, the seasons. You find if you listen a lot, you start seeing a pattern of where and how to listen to maximize. One thing that I found really, really sad, I had to wake up early last week, one day of last week, early like I never do. So it was like when I got up, it was 11 hours UTC. So 6 a.m. local. I haven't got up at that time to listen to the radio in years. What made me sad is realizing that at that time when I was listening to shortwave a lot in the early mornings, I still remember all these signals that were there that you could listen to. That last week when I tuned the bands, I looked at the 31 meter band, 49 meter band, and so on. It was very sad here in Montreal that I was looking at the bands and seeing that there's pretty much nothing on the bands. And it was kind of sad. I was like, well, there's not a lot of stuff with my eye noise level because, obviously if I'd be somewhere with zero noise, probably there was a lot of little things in there and the noise that I didn't see, but was in there in that noise. And that was sad. I went back to bed because somebody had to come over at 7 a.m. for something. And once that person went away, I went back to bed at like 7:30, and I was thinking about, wow, the bands are so dead at that time now. It's pretty crazy, Yeah, that's what CODAR is. Joseph says the coastal broadcaster down the road from me, KFS in Half Moon Bay, California, is a CODAR hosting site. It is really strong here because there's a lot of these stations all across the bands, all across the coast. Hey, Rob, the blind picker. Nice to have you here. W0RAB in Connecticut. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? David KJ4CMY says Oxford shortwave listener had China from Oxford, UK. Well, everybody was surprised the other day when I pointed out that we could hear China radio. A lot of people, we're used to having so many relays now that when you hear a station direct from their country, people are not used to that anymore. So when I got China in English, it was coming in real well, and people started telling me, well, that's a relay. And I was like, no, on that frequency, It was China from the Chinese territory. And everybody was amazed. Wow, okay. And they were surprised at how strong the signal is. Now, that said, they are probably running 500 kilowatts, but okay. Still, And I get regular, comments or questions. The other day was Voice of Turkey. I said, "Oh, Voice of Turkey, 5960." And the guy says, "Hey, I'm hearing it really well. So is that a relay from WRMI?" And I said, "No, that is from Turkey. The Voice of Turkey has broadcasts its signals from just outside of Ankara, Turkey. It is one of the stations that you hear direct. Radio Romania, you hear direct. Vatican Radio, there are some relays, but most of the transmitters are from Vatican State. Radio France is pretty much always from Issoudun and France transmitter site. BBC is from different areas, but the most prevalent here that I see from the BBC is Ascension Island. Ascension Island tends to give a really nice signal here. And Wolferton, UK often is not too bad also. NHK Radio Japan from the few times that it transmits. In the daytime, they have a few broadcasts from the Madagascar relay. That pretty much always comes in really well here. In the nighttime, if you listen to around 05, 06 UTC, you'll notice that like Radio Japan, NHK Radio Japan has an English broadcast in the weekend from the Austria transmitter site. Radio Austria, which still exists in only a very small German form on 6155 at around, I don't know, 600 UT, something like that. But that transmitter site is actually a host of a few relays from shortwave broadcasters. So kind of interesting. Yogi says, I listened to the BBC World Service from Oman, 1413 kilohertz, 5,500 kilometers away, a few nights a week. Wow, that is great. Aerial imaging, the biggest problem I have for medium wave DX is that we have local stations pretty much every 10 kilohertz. In the gaps, I can hear some other ones a couple of states over. Yeah, it's not always easy to DX medium wave, especially when you have a lot of the stations so close together. Absolutely. Mickey Dalmich says, back in the 80s, Norway on 1314 kilohertz with his Racal R17C and a 4-foot box loop was almost daily. Or should I say nightly with audio here in Alberta? Great times. I remember, Mickey, there was a 91, 92-ish. Sheldon would be one of the organizers of the radio festival here in Montreal. It was downtown in the basement of a church, and that's I think the first time ever in my whole life that I met Sheldon, which was around 1991. And I went to the radio festival, and there was some guys from the club, the Quebec club, also the Club en Cours du Québec, which I was a member. And in '91, I was I was also editor of the logging sections, and I remember I was at the Quebec club speaking to the guys. And they could not believe I was getting 1314. And they were all, well, it's impossible. You can't get Norway on medium wave here. And I was telling them, I am. And I was telling everybody, it's like, and they were like, what antenna do you have? I said, look, first of all, I live in a place where it's really quiet. And I got 120 feet wire outdoors. And I could get Norway. It was not super strong, but it was strong enough that I could distinctly hear the Norwegian language. And one day, I had one of the guys from the club, the Quebec club, over for some radio stuff. And it was in the winter, like January. And I remember um, at one point telling him, "Oh, you want to have proof of Norway? We're going to try it tonight." And I punched in the frequency, and he listened, and I said, "Look, it's Norwegian. This is Norway, 1314." And he was so amazed. He was like, "Wow, I can't believe it. I never thought we could listen to those stations." So, Caveman, can you receive the Russian and Polish number stations? Yeah, absolutely. And actually, so many times in the live show, we listen to the Russian ones, the polytone ones. I've heard the ones that are English, or the one they call Slavic language, or the Russian language. So pretty many times. A few times by accident also. I remember one, particularly one that I still remember clearly. I was at the Perry Island DXpedition, and a beautiful day. And it maybe was, I don't know, 2 p.m. in the afternoon local here, which in the summertime is 18 UT. And around 13 megahertz, 13 something. I was just manually tuning around to see if I could hear something. And I got this English language number station that I learned after I had received it, that it was one from Poland. Man, and it had such a good signal too. Yeah, now Norway is pretty much all digital on its frequencies. Absolutely. I do not believe. I don't know if they still have a lot of. I don't know if they have any medium wave stations left. So yeah, I'll try it in the summer. I'll see what it gives me as in stations. But man, I was kind of down actually, seeing that there was almost nothing. I was expecting to have maybe a few some Asian stations or something. I was searching for Radio New Zealand, which I thought I could hear at that time, but turns out that Radio New Zealand was on signs on the 49-meter band at 12:59, which is starting to get a little late, but would probably still make it here in Montreal. So, and on the other frequency they were at that time, it's not a frequency that I could hear. So, I did try North Korea. I haven't heard North Korea in a long time. I'm pretty sure they have very low power output in their transmitters now. North Korea, on the frequencies that they use, which is the same frequencies that they used, 20 years ago. I used to hear that real easy here. And the signal was strong enough that they would make it if that was the same. Something changed at Radio Korea, at Voice of Korea in North Korea, because it became more difficult to receive them. I sometimes hear a very weak signal coming out of North Korea, but it's weak compared to what I was used to. And I don't think it's just propagation. I think, they don't have a lot of money, and those transmitters, take a lot of power, cost a lot of, probably their generators are running on gas or something. And it's probably costing like an enormous amount of money to run them, which they don't have. So I'm pretty sure they're running those transmitters at a very low power compared to 10, 15 years ago. Because, man, it's difficult to get North Korea now. And it used to be a regular. For me, North Korea was like a regular thing. If you go on the channel and look at some of the videos of, 2012, 2013, you're probably going to see many of my videos with Voice of Korea from North Korea coming in really well. So, so I'm going to have to try that. I'm going to have to wake up. I still have that idea in my mind of one day doing an all-nighter, going, maybe doing it in two parts. If I don't do an all-nighter, it's like do a shortwave listen from up to like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And another day, I'm going to pick it up at 4 a.m. and continue and do. I used to do that when I was a teenager. I was a teenager. When you're a teenager, you do everything. It's like when you're 16 years old, you stay up 24 hours, and it's like, I'm a little tired. Now, if I stay up 24 hours, I just want to. I fall asleep everywhere. But it's something that might be interesting. I haven't listened to Shortwave all night for a long time. I do like the 05, 0600 UT time slot, which is local time here right now. Local time, it's midnight to 1 a.m. And that gives me a lot of interesting signals, a lot of stuff. I hear the BBC from Ascension Islands, really good enough. If it wasn't for Radio Havana Cuba on 6000, I would hear really well 6005 BBC. I hear, Radio Japan. I do hear at 600 the German service of Radio Austria. Radio France comes in really well. There's a lot of signals that are interesting to listen to at that time. And I'm curious, if I continue past 06, 0700 UT, what I'm going to listen to also. Crittenden Tuttle 4, nice to have you here. KJ7NUX, and nice to have you here. Thank you very much. David DXer says WCBS not as strong tonight. Let's try it out here. 880 WCBS. What does it sound like? Remove the filter. That is interesting. Okay. 880. That's pretty good here.
For nearly 100 years, the New York Community Trust has brought together generous people like you and great nonprofit organizations to make life better in our region. To learn more, visit give2.
It's pretty strong here. Actually, WCBS 880.
Ashley Home Store's biggest President's Day sale has been extended, so you still have a few more days to save.
Well, that's WCBS from WCBS from New York on 880 kilohertz. Scott Forbes, nice to have you on board from South Australia. I've applied for my SWARL call sign. Very excited. Cool. If you see after more than a month you don't have it, go and check out from time to time the website. They have the list of all the call signs and certificates. And I was, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks later, I was wondering what was happening, if it was being processed. And I went to the site and I started looking at the certificates, the latest certificates, and I found mine. It was already issued. I just didn't have the email. Or sometimes the email, check it out, because sometimes the email is in the spam folder. But it's fun. It's one of the fun little things to get, So, Jazz Tank. No, you want to have a Trois Pistoles or a Maudit. Trois Pistoles is a dark one. It's more of a darker beer, but they're all good. The Unibrew beers, pretty much all of them I kind of like. Have I ever not liked a Unibrew beer? I'm not even sure. I find them really, really good. Canadian Radio TV guy says, I've always been an early riser, usually up before 4 and 5 a.m. And find now I hear a lot more than at that time. A lot more at that time in the summer until this year. You have until 13, 14 UT. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to have to check it out this summer. Mobile Armored Strike Command, AM frequency, band frequencies are divided into 3 categories: clear, regional, and local channels. Yep. The famous graveyard channels also that are so difficult to DX anything in, because it's mishmash of noise. It's just crazy. Dmitry Larinovich, nice to have you on board. David DXer, how do you find out when the medium wave stations are down for maintenance? I've got a 50 kilowatt monster close to me, and it's almost impossible to work around them. It's something that I learned from it from the different groups that I'm in, that I'm into. So in general, the different radio groups that I have, that I follow, there will always be somebody somewhere knowing that, oh, look at that station is going to be down for maintenance at that time. And we do it. Like here in Montreal, when was it? About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, CJ8800 went off at midnight for maintenance. When we learned about it, it was like, okay, I'm going to stay up at midnight. I want to see what I can hear on 800 kilohertz while CJ80 is gone, because it's a frequency impossible to DX here, Yeah, I often check that Chris G7V, the gray line DXing, which often brings a lot of signals. Actually, that is what is interesting right now, is that a lot of, when you look at a map, a lot of my afternoon DXing with Madagascar and everything is often close to that gray line. And that's why I hear a lot of stuff, of interesting stuff also. But yes, I do follow the gray line DXing quite a lot, and check it out. NS Norfolk, nice to have you here from Virginia. Elianter, nice to have you here. Bonjour de Mont-Tremblant, juste au nord de Montréal. She went to Mont-Tremblant so many times in my my teenage and young adult years. So many times. Vancouver Island DXer, Radio RT is booming here in 7365. Too bad I am not in the intended audience. Yeah, 7365. Here, Radio RT is booming on pretty much all of its frequencies. It's crazy how they are strong here. Really, really crazy. I can tell you that. What else do we have? David P. Miller, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Probably E11. I don't remember exactly, but I probably E11. I know that the numbers were in English, anyways. So it's possible that it was that one, Caveman. For sure. Trimmelly, Mr. Bell. Yeah, on the West Coast. You guys on the West Coast here as well. But here on the East Coast, it's become very difficult to get North Korea. The West Coast, you guys hear the Asian stations are so much easier than we do here on the East Coast. It's crazy. What else do we have? Radio Nikkei, really clear in California when propagation is decent. Cool. No, NS Norfolk. I've never, the lowest frequency ever to hear a station here was in all of my years of listening, due to radios that weren't that great, due to noise, due to I wasn't set up right. The stations, the lowest frequency I've heard stations was about 3,200 kilohertz, and we're talking about broadcast stations. Because I know for a while, when I in the 90s, there were still a lot of stations in the 120 meter band and 2 megahertz. There's Australia. There was some local Australians on 24 something. but I never heard a station in the 2 megahertz range, a broadcast station. I hear stuff, but not a broadcast station. I never heard anything there. It was probably too noisy where I lived, and on that range at least. So the lowest DX that I really have done over time was the 3 megahertz range. At 3 megahertz, I heard Radio Orion in South Africa. I even heard Channel Africa, which was also transmitting there. I heard a few Africans on the 3 megahertz range. I heard Costa Rica. I heard a couple of South Americans. I heard Radio Guyana, French Guyana. So I did hear a few things, but really 3 megahertz was like the threshold for me of DX. Below that, I really wasn't hearing much on the 2 megahertz range. I mean, I say that there was not a lot of noise where I lived before here, but I never. It's interesting, and that is, when I think about it, I've never heard so many hams on 160 meters as I do here. Even though I did hear some hams on 160 meters before I lived here, that was almost an event for me to get a ham station on 160 meters. As if maybe in that range the noise was too high, or maybe, I don't know. Where I lived before, I was using a Kenwood R5000, so it was not a receiver. The only thing I could guess is it was really, really the noise level around me, honestly, for sure. Sold your Texan PL600 for $20. Wow. Dilip Bapat, World Radio Day greetings. Nice to have you on board. VU3UEL from Mumbai, India. Nice to have you on board. Hope you're staying safe, my friend. Dan Vital, have you ever tried to make a shortwave antenna with your rain gutter? I was reading about that. Well, not here. That would be kind of hard to do, but I've heard of a lot of people doing antennas with their rain gutter. Absolutely, and some having pretty good success, honestly, here. So interesting. Joseph says, I love listening at times I usually don't. Always surprised by new stations. Yeah, that's every period of the day has its own little something to check out. So as Norfolk says, WCBS antenna is located in a salt swamp. That's why it has such a good coverage. Pretty crazy. So Caveman E06 15683. Target Asia. Yeah, that one is not going to make it here. SWARL is kind of the shortwave listener equivalent of the ARRL, if you want an S Norfolk. And they issue call signs for shortwave listeners. It's free of charge. All you have to do is go to the website and ask for your call sign. And they issue you a nice little diploma with your call sign in it that I printed mine on glossy photo paper. It looks really super cute. So it's really nice. Oh, I've got two things, guys, that I want to show you. I just remembered, you guys. You're going to see something that I found. So
I only broke one thing. That's okay. I found my diploma from ECJB for the interval signal contest, which is from, I don't know, they did that in what, 1985-ish, 6. So I wasn't very good. I had 7 of the 15 interval signals, but that was broadcast on the DX party line. So that's one thing that I found while doing a little bit of cleaning. And I found my my Radio Budapest Shortwave Club certificate, dated the 25th of April, 1986. So this was my certificate. You had to, I don't remember what it was exactly, but you had to like send reception reports every week for a year or something. And after you did that, you were officially a club member. So I found that. A couple of little things here that are kind of nice. So that's nice. Oops. And I already also found a few things of interest here. Some really interesting QSL cards here. I had a lot of QSL cards from different stations, including amateur radio stations at one point. So I found this one also with a lot of QSL cards. This one, Radio Roraima, Brazil. Look at that. This one, which is kind of interesting. A nice full-page QSL. Shannon Volmet, Shannon, Ireland, which is on 5505. I don't know if we can tune it, but they issue a QSL card. This is their Shannon QSL card. So that's aeronautical. Guatemala, TGNA. Guatemala on, I think I had that one on 3300. I think that's what they were when they were Radio Cultural at some point or something. What is that here? This one is nice. This is Voice of, and man, I didn't even remember that I got it here. This was what's the date? October 20th, 2003. So I'm just going to do this, but Voice of the Tigray Revolution Station. This is a QSL card from this is a clandestine station in Ethiopia that I received from Ethiopia on their frequency of 5500 kilohertz at 0330. Dang. That is amazing. Deutsche Welle. What else is of interest in here? Radio Sweden. Voice of Turkey. Anything else that is worthy DX here? It's probably one of my last QSL cards from the Voice of Russia. (2005) KNLS Alaska. Look at that. Didn't even remember I had a QSL card from them. Radio Serbia here. So these are all cards that I got while I was living here, which is pretty cool. This one is Djibouti. Radio Diffusion Djibouti. Look at that. Really cool. I need to scan these. I haven't scanned these yet. What do we have here? Centec transmitter site. So a lot of there's these companies like Centec that actually owned a lot of the transmitter site. Actually, Channel Africa was on one of the Santec transmitter sites in South Africa. So this is a QSL card for, so this QSL card here is stated that is reception of the following transmitter: Transworld Radio in Mayerton transmitter station. And so they have the company that owned the transmitter site actually gave me the QSL, which is Centec, which is kind of interesting. Radio Prague, China Radio. Some really interesting stuff in here. Pirate Station, which is Northwoods Radio. They had this QSL card. It was the hunting season special show. Oh, look at that. A calendar from China. Happy New Year. A station from Israel. Galei Zahal. Israel Defense Forces Radio 6973. Look at that. QSL card. The other one is a undercover radio pirate QSL. Oh, man. This is so cool. So nice to see all of these things. Radio Sweden. There's this one here. This is, oops, it's upside down. Radio Romania. Radio Japan. Now, these are great souvenirs. Radio Taiwan International. So cool souvenirs. And you see most of these QSLs are from here. So the first few years that I was living here, actually. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Kev Michael, KCBS 740 kilohertz, San Francisco, California is on also at night. Simplio says, the first time I got a SWARL, I tried to QSL some hams. Didn't do too well. They don't like anything they can't verify in their logbook as a contact. C'est une bonne bière, TVDXer, la fin du monde. NS Norfolk says 740 dominated by Zoomer Radio in Toronto here on the East Coast. Aerial imaging. Loops. Some have a lot of success with these big homemade loops. I know that magnetic loops also, like the W6LVP and the Wellbrook, are rated as being fairly good on medium wave also. The other thing is, yeah, a very, very long wire if you live in a very quiet environment. But the best is loops. And, you know, don't underestimate the ferrite that is inside these radios. You'd be surprised at how good these are in reception. Plus the fact that they are extremely directional. And long wave, probably longer the better, that's for sure. That's for sure. That's for sure. JD Dakota says, back in the 80s, I would plan nights when I would stay up all night and go through shortwave medium wave while the medium wave was off air on weekends. And every half hour during the night, I had myself in the radio. Pretty cool. Camped outside in the backyard. That's cool. You know, some of my best souvenirs of summer vacation when in high school, for me, were listening to shortwave very late at night.
My parents would typically go to bed at like 10 p.m. every night. That was their time. It was like a clock. My parents, 10 p.m. They're in bed. And I was a lucky kid because, in a sense, because my parents didn't care what time I would go to bed. Never did my parents ask me to go to bed. Never, never, never. So even when I was, a young kid, they would never tell me, okay, it's time to go to bed. Never. They would just let me stay up until I go to bed by myself, which I would eventually go because I was tired. On school days, I was tired, of course, because, you wake up early and you go to school. But so in the when I got into shortwave as a teenager, that's where a lot of my summer days were. My summer days were for many years. My parents didn't really care about anything, and I didn't get a summer job until I was like 17 or something. And my parents didn't ask me or push me into anything. So basically, what happens is in the summer, I would go to the swimming pool. My pattern, very often pattern, was go to swimming pool. The library was next to it, so I would, once I go to the swimming pool, I'd go to the library and I'd look at books on electronics and radio and stuff. Then I'd come back home and play around with some stuff. Sometimes I'd find books with cool. I remember one particularly, which was really cool. It was like 100 experiments you could do at home, because it probably have everything that's needed. And boy, did I do a lot of experiments in that. And, I would do stuff like that. And I would listen to the radio. I would be lazying in the backyard, and I had my shortwave radio and would listen to stations. And at night, I would, so my parents would go to bed at 10. And what I would do is, I would shut down all the lights. And I had the DX302 for a while back then. I would tune the shortwave bands, and I would just stop on some of the stations and listen to Radio Australia and listen to really late at night. My brother would go to play golf in the morning from time to time when he was in vacation. And to be at the golf club for like 6 a.m., he would leave at around 4:30 a.m. in the summer. And I would always tell him, when you get up to leave at 4:30, wake me up. And he would wake me up, and I would get up and start listening to shortwave at 4 and 5 a.m. and hear Tahiti, Radio RFO, Radio France Outre-mer, Tahiti, on was 7170, I think, the frequency. That would come in really well in French. I would listen to so many things. One of my favorite was, of course, in the morning was of Radio Korea, Radio RSA, and when propagation was really good, Radio RSA on 25790, which was that special 11-meter frequency. There's so many things that was so cool to listen to. It's really, really, really sad because, man, that was so cool. Yeah, East Coast, NS Norfolk for Radio New Zealand. At this time and later, in about a month and a half, you're going to start hearing, if they stay on that frequency, 13840. That one is going to come in the next month and a half. It's going to start coming in for the summertime. That's just out of curiosity. Probably not coming in at all, because in the wintertime, it's not a frequency for... there's not even a peep of a signal. But in the summer, it's particularly good. Radio New Zealand is good on 13840. That's for sure on the East Coast. Joseph says NHK World, Radio Japan, 17810, 0203 UT in California. Cool. That is cool. Canadian Radio TV guy says lots of CRI here in Western Canada in the summer. Yeah, probably a lot of CRI, China Radio, and also the CNR, the China National Radios, and stuff like that. You guys probably hear. 3215, yeah, that's WWCR. So what else do we have? Yeah, 2054 is that frequency from the West Coast that I've never heard the West Coast weather from Canada. I hear all the East Coast ones, including all the ones along. There's many different transmitter sites. When you go to 2749, I don't know if it's going to be on right now. So I'm not hearing anything right now. 2749, 2598. I'm hearing 2598. That's 2598. Those frequencies, those two frequencies, 2598 and 2749, have several transmitter sites where they come from. When you listen to, like for example, right now, 2598, at this time, it's 0125 is it's not even listed at 0125. Is it? Yeah, it might. Yeah, okay. That could be, yeah, up to 130. So here it says, now it says English. Here it says Goose Bay, Newfoundland. So it could be that, but it's in French. And the one in French usually, it doesn't, the VOK Goose Bay isn't in French. That one was French, so it's either Les Escoumins, even though it's not supposed to be there. Les Escoumins, Quebec is one of the transmitter sites. There's another one, and if we look at French English here, Port au Basque, Newfoundland, VOJ. So there's a lot of transmitter sites. 2598, you have Goose Bay, Newfoundland, Port au Basque, Newfoundland, Placentia, Newfoundland, Les Escoumins, Quebec. And if you look at 2749, Les Escoumins, Quebec, Sydney Radio, Nova Scotia, that I hear often, VCS, Halifax Radio, Nova Scotia also. So this is kind of interesting. These are fun to, I hear a lot of them, if not most of them here on the East Coast in Montreal, but so that's 2598 right now. So that is in French. They're difficult to identify, except for the language. Some are English only. So kind of interesting. What else do we have? What else do we have? RJ Dakota says, I used to hear the South African Broadcasting Corporation 3250 Springbok Radio and 3396 from Rhodesia. Wow. Wow. Pretty crazy. What else we have? Alex Jones on 3215. That's possible. No, I didn't trip. It's just that something just fell to the ground. So let me just check it out here. I'm gonna just put the filter back on here. Trimbali, Mr. Bell, explain the pros and cons of having a medium wave station on top of a hill rather than a flat chunk of land. You know, it is mostly due to what type of antenna and what's available. You know, typically, like we saw, WCBS is in kind of, you know, salty water, salty marsh water, that is probably one of the best things that you can do for transmission on medium wave. It's like even shortwave. Look at Sackville transmitters in Sackville, Canada. I mean, that was all in swampland, salty water swampland. I mean, that was great. That's what Okeechobee, Florida transmitter site is. It's swamp. It's a swamp, basically a big swamp where the antennas are. These are the best places for transmitters because these antennas, man, radiate like crazy. What happens on medium wave is depending on where you can actually set up, and that's really dependent on what it is. And there are different styles of antennas. Not everybody has land for a huge medium wave antenna. I mean, a real big, full-grown medium wave antenna is huge. It needs a very big land to be on and work well. And so much more of where they are on top of a hill or a small area has much more to do with the land that they could get and the money they had for that, plus the transmitter and the antennas, than anything else. Not every station is capable of being in the best of circumstances. An example here is, for a while, the medium wave station from that's on 1610, that was Haitian radio. They were not far from here. They were actually across the street from the electronics store where I go. And they had a loop antenna on top of a Asian grocery store. And that's all they could afford. That's all they could have. They had 1 kilowatts coming out of a loop. So it's really more of the money they have, the land available, and where they can set up. One of the biggest problems of that is really getting the land. I mean, that is one of the reasons AM radio is dying also. I mean, they look at the land that they need and require, and they look at how much money they could have if they just sell that. And they're like, yeah, we're going to get millions if we sell that, instead of being poor and not making money on AM. Yes, Joseph, you're right. You really need to be on the wall. They should be here on the wall near, so we can see it. Sucking the airwaves. Canadian radio TV guy says, very neat, Joe. Wish I had that kind of QSL collection. Yeah, and that's only at one part. I mean, there's so much more in there. But the one with the Ethiopia, which was the Tigray Revolution, that was a clandestine transmitter in Ethiopia that wasn't very powerful. And I got it one night and I sent for a QSL. I never thought I'd get a QSL out of that. That letter is not just a QSL. They are explaining the reason that group exists, because they are against whatever is happening there in Ethiopia, and they are a group that is wants to change that. It's really, really like kind of really cool. When I got that, I was like, whoa. And I did the trick that I always do. When I sent for that QSL, because I mean, honestly, it's a station that is basically all they want is broadcast to their own, the people in the country where they are. They don't really give much of a, I mean, some technical guys probably excited that, hey, we are heard in Canada, but apart from that, I'm not the target audience, if that's for sure. And I think what I did when I sent them that reception report, I put $2 in the envelope. So you know what? When they got that, they got $2. It probably cost them less than $1 to send me this. So they were like, well, you know what? We've got money. We're going to send him what he wants. I haven't seen a lot of people with a QSL card from Voice of the Tigray Revolution. I can tell you that. That is for me some of the best QSLs I got. It's crazy cool. Crazy cool. So it's really cool. It's really cool. Chimbali, Mr. Bell, what transmits from the towers on Mont Royal? Almost every FM and TV stations in the city, including CKUT, 90.3 FM. The majority of, so there used to be different transmitter sites for FM. There used to be some on Mont Royal, and there were some on the CIBC tower downtown. But the CIBC tower downtown does not have broadcast antennas anymore. They were moved on top of Mont Royal also. So pretty much every TV and FM station from Montreal is on top of Mont Royal, which gives it a clear signal everywhere. And that's why I've got so much overload of FM stations. Line of sight from here, Mont Royal, it's because there's a building right there in front, because I would see it from here really well, and which is in that direction, actually. And I am about, in line of sight, I probably am about, let me just think, 6-7 kilometers away from Mont Royal. 8, maybe 8, but I'm not that far away from Mont Royal. It's not very far from me. So the FM stations are blasting, totally blasting here, for sure. Butterbean, love exchanging QSL cards via computer email isn't even close to the same. I still have cards from the 70s, 80s. Yeah, I still, I still find it cool to get an email or in EQSL, but it's, of course, it's not the same from getting it in the mail. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, Channel Africa, Matt. Yeah, that's that was a sad one to lose also. And it was, Channel Africa was the remnants of Radio RSA, basically, but refocusing to Africa only. But man, I missed that too. I totally missed that too. So these are amazing QSL cards that I've got. I've got quite a few QSL cards that are amazing, that are totally amazing. I can tell you that. That's for sure. I moved here in the year 2000, July 2000. I was living in another place from about, place before I lived there from about 1992 until early 2000. And I moved here in 2000, so it's going to be 21 years this year. Time really flies. Like when I got here, I thought, I'm going to be here a few years and move on. I never thought it'd be here 21 years later. I can tell you that. Also thinking, well, when I moved here, I was 30 years old. I'm 51 now. It's like, yeah, okay. Getting old. The guy's getting old. Oh, man. What else do we have? Aerial Imaging says, I want to medium wave DX with my Drake R8. It has no internal ferrite, completely on my own to connect an antenna and a clip on the back. Just trying to determine what the best thing I can do. Start with wires, that's for sure, if you don't have too much noise. But the loops are good. Even the MLA30, which is not necessarily the loop that is rated the best on medium wave, is surprisingly good. And that, you saw the medium wave signals I have here. That's the MLA30. So, it's still not bad at all. So, but it depends on the noise level around you. John McClure, yeah, not too bad. You're a little late, but Keegan says, my dad, W9 JEF, was the same with letting me stay up late. Yeah, I mean, my parents, they didn't just really, they didn't care. Lacrosse, nice to have you here. So, what else do we have? Mickey Dalmage, you're bringing up memories. I just found a log. I started around St. 172 where I have the station and the direction I would have to turn the radio for best reception. WLS South, KFI West, WNBC East. Oh, man. Kev Michael, I hear you. I did the same. My mom would catch me up at 3 a.m. She would tell me to go to bed. Oh, man. Oh, man. Chaz Tank remembers the thrill of dialing in those first overseas stations and the wonder of the thrill of being able to do that. That's the first thing that hits you if you're a fan of shortwave. The first thing that hits you is basically the fact that you hear stations that are so far away. And it's just amazing. I still remember the kick that I got when I heard Radio Australia for the first time. This is really, really crazy. Really, really crazy. Lord JD of Dakota says 15170 was a great one for Tahiti. Yes, that was another one. They had 7170 and 15170, I believe. Radio RSA on 25790. Yeah. And 11 meters. When there were stations on 11 meter band. Kev Michaels, Deutsche Welle, 49 meter band, BBC. Yeah. Jameli, Mr. Bale, test, go to 24 kilohertz. Okay, I'm going to try it, but the MLA30 is not very good at low frequencies in general. So let me just see if I get anything on 24 kilohertz. So let me just, so I got pretty much nothing here. There's really nothing much here. I'm hearing something, but I don't know what that is. I don't know if I think it's more local interference than anything else on that frequency. It's not really meant to be on that frequency. I don't have that great of reception on, I would say below about 200 kilohertz on here. And there's a lot of noise around me, which is totally nuts. Well, this is 6,000.
In his campaign to liberate Cuba,
Radio event in Cuba.
He needed all the help that he could muster. His overtures to the Spaniards living in Cuba could be interpreted as an adroit political maneuver to acquire additional support. More probable than this.
Radio event in Cuba, 6,000 kilohertz, coming in well. Aerial imaging is hearing Brazil 11780. Chastang, my dad came home from work about midnight, told me once, get to bed, it's late in school night. I got him to listen to shortwave with me. He let me stay up. I was, one of the reasons why they never told me to go to bed probably is because I was pretty automatic in doing it myself. When I was, when I had school, I never really stayed up very late. In general, I would go to bed around 11. And sometimes even earlier, 10 p.m. But it was mostly in the summer. In the summertime, it's like, who cares? And even if I'd go to bed at 3 a.m., I would wake up at 8 a.m., and do stuff. Jameli, Mr. Bell, propagation isn't quite good enough to get 21 megahertz broadcasts. Barely got a carrier a couple of days ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I heard France on 21,690, I think, or 20 or something. It was 21,580. It's one of the 13 meter band frequencies they're on. U.S. Coast Guard on 6501.
To his friend Bale.
Check it out here.
Dallas Tower has the right to be treated for his quality.
Anything here? Nothing much here. 6501 at this time. At this time, 6501 would be Kodiak, Alaska. So you would be hearing the Kodiak, Alaska weather. That is cool. Nothing here on the East Coast. Not even hearing that. I'd like to hear Kodiak, Alaska. That's cool. Finished off a 38-ounce bag of peanut M&Ms. Oh, man. Eric Seaman says, my dad is a ham and said I can have his equipment. Trouble is, it's located in our family cottage in Ontario. I'm in the U.S., hoping the borders open up, studying for test. Cool. Clean Radio TV guy, yep. The salt land at the RCI site. Inspectors of Shortwave, yep, absolutely. Cool. Well, welcome aboard, Eric, and hope that you learn more and you come here regularly. Yarabamba, nice to have you here. BBC service banned in China. They should be missing their broadcast in shortwave to China. So, yeah, it's related to TV. It's mostly the TV stuff that's blocked in China, but, you know, China. What else do we have? Whoa. I just zoomed in so well. Yeah, all of these weird speculations of people talking in different languages and people hearing Radio Canada in their sink, in their fridge, their toasters. You know, I would guess. I mean, come on, if they power up a 500 kilowatt out there, and you'd live in Sackville, you might be hearing Radio Canada in your toaster. I can tell you that. This is so funny. Michael, Tahiti on 738 kilohertz at night in French. Wow, heard in Hawaii. That must be a really nice spot in Hawaii to DX all sorts of things. Man. Yeah, 11825. I remember that. 11825. Oh, man. Aerial imaging like that in Chicago, too. Most things come off the Sears Tower. Makes it easy to know where to point your TV antenna on your roof. Yep. Radio New Zealand is definitely a nice radio. Absolutely. Matt says, wow, 21 years, almost in the same place. I've been in this house for 15 years and probably only because we own it. Yeah, I'm not much of a mover. You know, when I actually, so I lived with my parents until 1991. And at 1991, I was 22 years old. Moved to the other place in 91-ish until 2000. Maybe I would have been there longer, but because there's always something happening, the roof was always leaking. There's always something bad. And it was very small. So I was at a point where I want to have bigger, I want to have room, and I want to be in a place that's better than here. And it was near the highway. Also, it was very noisy outside. And found this place by just taking a walk. One day I was taking a walk and I saw the rent sign on the balcony. And I called, and the rent was right, and we met up for a visit. And the next day, they're starting to remove the snow on the street here. And the next day, I signed the lease, and I was here. And it's been 21 years. So what else do we have? Kimberly, K6YYL, we moved into this house in July 2000. Wow. That's pretty crazy. So when I moved here, it was something. You know, I had accumulated a lot of stuff, and I remember when I moved here, and with the help of my friends, I remember I sat down on the balcony in the back. One of my friends that was here says, "Wow, that's kind of a nice little place you have here, and pretty big apartment, you know." And I said, "Yeah, it's pretty nice." And I looked at him. I remember I looked at him. I said, "It's such hell moving. I'm going to be here for a long time before I move." But then you go on, and you know, and you know, it's a great place actually. You know, honestly, I can't really complain much here. I'm pretty free to do what I want, but up in tennis and stuff. And you know, for now I'm okay. It's noisy, but hey, it's life. Jasmine, nice to have you on board from Seattle. Trimbali, I wonder if Fashil can rent a small plane with that antenna that mounts to the roof and vertical tail. Hook his radius to the antenna at 2,000 meter altitude. Oh, God. I mean, Kevin Michaels misses radio RSA. Yeah. With the bird sounds. William Helms, good thing we're smart enough. We're smart enough to make decisions on our own easily. Early. So many are lost without direction. I was a very serious teenager in some way. I was a teenager. I you know, I always, because it was very complicated in my family. And I pretty much, my dad was never here, was working all the time. And my mom had all sorts of problems. So what happened is I always tell everybody I was the teenager that just pretty much took care of himself. I'd wake up on my own. I would make myself breakfast. I would go to school. I would come at dinner time, do a little radio, eat a little quick snack, go back to school for the afternoon, come back home. You know, I'd go to bed at whatever time, but I was always very serious. I never, you know, I would never be late. I would always be okay. And, you know, I was at my place doing my stuff. And so, you know, I was one of those kids that could just be left alone doing whatever he has to do, and he would do it. That's it. Joe says a friend sat at the shortwave radio in front of me and said, "Tune around." The first thing I heard was Radio China and have been hooked ever since. That was in the 80s. I miss those days. Man. New Year's show on Radio RSA, Swiss Radio, also on 11 meters at one time, RJ Dakota. Oh, man. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Brian Ventenheimer, nice to have you on board. Testing a passive loop project. Cool. That's the fun of radio. That's really the fun of radio. Cool, Kev Michael. We all still love radio. We're all here for that. I can tell you that. And what else do we have? Donald Hosmer. So it's very clear here. So if you're fuzzy, it's because your stream isn't getting to HD quality. Because here it's everything is all right. I could see my own stream here, and it's very, very clear. So it's probably that you're not getting to the HD level on YouTube. When that happens, it gets fuzzy. Make sure that it says HD 1080p or at least 720. Coast Guard and 6501. Yeah, on the West Coast, you guys get the Alaska easily. Man, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Kev Michael's got Radio Vanny Cuba 6000. Canadian Radio TV guy says, always love getting extended daylight and nice summer evening weather for DX. Yep. Pretty cool. Jasmine says, if you ever get to travel out to British Columbia or West Coast of the U.S., bring your radios and MLA 30. Oh, I will. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know what it sounds like exactly. It's probably some kind of data or something, I would guess. NS Norfolk have the entire U.S. Coast Guard IC's broadcast schedule here. It's on 2 legal-sized piece of paper. We'd like it. How can I get it to you? Oh, can you send it to? Can you scan them and send them to my email on official shortwaveradio@gmail.com? That'd be nice. That is really, really nice. Official shortwaveradio@gmail.com. Keegan says the first radio he heard on shortwave is WWV. I heard CHU. I think my first time station was CHU, but it could have been WWV also. I remember being amazed, thinking, why the hell does a station broadcast the time all the time? And of course, those of you listening for a long time remember that CHU Canada used to give time in Eastern Standard Time. Then they changed to UTC, but they used to give Eastern Standard Time. Ray Carlisi, nice to have you here. Not sure I would try to do that, Trim Valley, Mr. Bale. What else do we have? Oh, Jasmine, thanks for reminding. I wanted to say it earlier and I totally forgot. Tomorrow is going to be real cool. If you guys are available starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, it's going to be the live broadcast of that Perseverance rover that is going to get on Mars. And this is always a fun thing to watch live. So I'll be watching, that's for sure. I think the landing of the rover is for 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, something like that. So that will be something real cool. The achievements that we see in technology with that is mind-blowing. It's really crazy. JD Dakota, the very first shortwave station I think I ever heard was probably Radio Australia in Deutsche Welle. Even though the Deutsche Welle was a relay, it was still impressive. Yeah. Deutsche Welle was what from the... so there were a few relay stations in the Caribbean. There was the Antigua relay station. There was Bonaire relay station. So there was a few relays from the Caribbean. I think it was Antigua for Deutsche Welle, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think they were using the same one as the BBC also was using Antigua, I think. RTD Dakota, very first shortwave station I think I've ever heard was probably Radio Australia and Deutsche Welle. Yep, so that's it. Yeah, it is impressive, absolutely. Jamali Mr. Bell says, I'm digging through some stuff. Found my dad's old Magellan Map 330 GPS from around 2001. Wow. Keegan says W9 my dad W9JEF has a photo of him of his ham shack featuring the SX62 IC706 on Cougar Z. Cool. Twisted radio. Remember using aluminum foil for an antenna in my room, wrapped the top of my walls all around the room for antenna. It worked quite well. Hey, I would stick with Scotch tape a wire across the living room and listen with that. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. What else do we have? I think RTD Dakota had some problem with sending that. Sergeant Rock, nice to have you on board. All is well for the CIDX Zoom meeting February 20th. No real storms in paradise. Yeah, it's true. I was about to forget Zoom meeting this coming Saturday. So that's going to be nice having that for sure. So what's legal sized paper? How do you want to send it? Let me know whatever way you can send it by mail if you want, or you can take pictures of with your smart if you have your smartphone or a camera. But if you want to send it by mail, I've got no problem with that. I'll give you my address. Just write to me at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com and let me know, and we'll arrange something for sure. What else do we have? Jasmine, I meant to ask, do any devices in Canada use CHU for time, like some clocks in the US use WWVB? All the clocks sold here use WWVB for time set. None use CHU. And for a big part of Canada, that's fine. But when you start getting like here in Quebec and to the East Coast, those clocks are very, very touchy. An example, my weather station here in the back is can set its clock by a WWVB, 60 kilohertz. It's probably once a week that I see that the little antennas there that it actually successfully did set the clock, because here it's getting difficult for that to really fix itself. Harry, nice to have you here from Finland. Just woke up, minus 26 Celsius. That's cold. That's real cold. So that's going to be fun to check tomorrow. I can tell you that. Yeah, that's going to be okay. And you can send it to official Shortwave Radio. Just scan it in or scan it in several sections. And I'll put them together here. That should work. And it's Norfolk. So Mickey Damage says, I just sent you the ID from the Deutsche Welle radio via the other relay in the Caribbean. Antigua was one. Here is the other. So, okay. This is interesting stuff. The BBC used beside Antigua also used this site. So let's
This is Radio Deutsche Welle, Caribbean Relay Station.
Oh, Montserrat. I remember that. I forgot about that one. Man, there's a lot of relay stations in the Caribbean. Sad that they're all gone. Yeah, I just got the Zoom meeting link from Canadian International DX Club now. Wow, Montserrat. I forgot about that one. That interval signal contest diploma that I showed you. This is, so let me check out. This is how they would do it. So this is one broadcast of what they would do when they would do their
Scene interval signals for you and see if you achieved victory there with the 15th. As is the tradition with the DX Party Line Interval Signal Contest.
Well, sounds like a bad tape playing it back.
For interval signal number 2.
Oh, that's Radio Japan. The first one was Radio Netherlands. This one is Radio Japan.
Now for interval signal number 3.
What is that one? Transworld Radio? I know that interval signal. So that was one of the
Signal number.
that's Radio Romania. Oh, that recording is so bad. Oh, Seychelles. Yeah, FEBA Seychelles. I remember FEBA Seychelles. I have a QSL card from them here.
Number 5.
The recording is so bad. Is that the
Signal number
Brazil?
interval signal.
Oh, that was Spain. That's Radio Estereo de España, but it was called Spanish Foreign Radio, I think, at the time. That was Spain.
Signal number 7.
Man, that recording is so bad. What is that interval signal? It somehow tells me something, but it would have been nice if that recording was of better quality.
Here is number
Indonesia for number 5. That's Radio Australia. I would guess one of the interval signals from Radio Australia.
signal contest. Signal number 9.
Oh, Saudi Arabia, number 7. I've never heard that one. Bonne nuit, TV DXer. SMZ. I don't know that one. don't know what that is at all.
Interval signal number 10. Number 10.
That's Adventist World Radio, right? Oh, no, that's Transworld Radio. Like Transworld Radio Swaziland. That's the Transworld Radio Swaziland transmitter site. And that's Transworld Radio Swaziland.
Now for interval signal number 11. This is number 11.
That's an easy one. Radio RSA.
Interval signal
Oh, the ad
number
recording's
12.
bad.
This is number 12.
Botswana. Radio Botswana. Oh, man. Dmitry, it's a recording from YouTube.
Now for interval signal number 13. This is number 13.
Oh, that's Swiss Radio International. Swiss Radio International.
For interval signal number 14. This is number 14.
What's that? That I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
Number 15. This is number 15.
Oh, that's the BBC. That's the BBC. So that one was a later one, but it's the diploma I have here from ECJB is from one of those shows.
15 interval signals for you, and see if you achieved victory there with the 15th, as is the tradition with DX party line interval signals.
Crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, there's one. The 14 is definitely sounds Asian. Absolutely, it sounds like, you know, I don't know, Voice of Free China or something, or Taiwan, or I would put it at something like that, like Taiwan or something like that. But I have no idea what that was. So I would have had a better score this time with that one. Oh, man. Okay. So let's see here. Couple of old it's Radio International. Man. This is what Swiss Radio International. All right, that's one station I really enjoyed also, Swiss Radio International. Swiss Radio International, 12035, 29 September 1990 at 0356 UTC. Okay. Let's see. We hear. Let's see what we hear.
And looting in this country by Iraqi forces. Mr. Scowcroft said the destruction in Kuwait increased the need for an urgent solution to the crisis. Meanwhile, the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council have issued a communique repeating their demand for an Iraqi withdrawal and the release of foreign hostages held by Iraqi forces. The foreign minister
Yep, Radio Netherlands was via Bonaire.
also said after a meeting in New York with the UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar that they would support.
You can hear me on
towards a
3188
lasting
upper
and
sideband,
peace
apparently.
in the Middle East. Officials said the communique did not
That's
mean
interesting.
that the 5 countries were seeking to link a solution to the Palestinian problem to the Gulf crisis.
HF
The Swiss
Underground
Foreign Ministry has
report
held a meeting
anything?
in Bern with the families of around 80 Swiss citizens who are trapped in Iraq.
So somebody's hearing me
Companies which
apparently on
employ some of the
3188.
hostages were also represented at the meeting. A spokesman for the Foreign Ministry said all the Swiss currently detained in Baghdad were in good health and had not been harmed.
That was Swiss Radio International. Wow. So Swiss Radio International was in different frequencies. They had a lot of different frequencies they were using. Actually, I don't recall one in particular, but they were broadcasting on several frequencies. So there was one of my stations that I really enjoyed listening to. I always had a nice listen. I would often listen to their French language service. So many stations. The fun part of speaking French and English was that a lot of stations have a different program in French and English. A couple of stations had the same program. When you would listen to the French and the English, you would notice it's the same program in 2 different languages. But most stations had a totally different program in French and in English. So when you would listen to their stations in the both languages, you had 2 different programs from the same station, which for me was kind of cool, honestly. But they had a lot of frequencies they were using back then, for sure. So it was kind of interesting. So kind of cool. Let's check out here what's left. Check out the check the email in a while. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss out on anything. So kind of cool. So hey everybody, we have been on for 3 hours and 17 minutes. I'm going to say bye-bye for everybody. I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night and probably tune around the bands and Shortwave a little bit and see what's on. And hope that you enjoyed the show today. And, every time I'm always saying, well, how am I going to do a talk for a couple of hours? And you end up at 3 hours and 18 minutes and you're like, wow, okay, already time passed so fast. So take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show, and basically hope that all of you are safe. And we'll be back on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time, with another Shortwave show. And hope that you stay with us and continue watching. And hope that you enjoy the show today. Kimberly Window. Yeah, I would have hoped that the trucks were all here, but because they're actually removing the snow on the street. So what I'll do, and this is what I'm going to do, Kimberly, I'm going to end with the traditional Moscow Nights. And while that plays, the camera is going to be in the window, and with a little bit of luck, you're going to see some of those machines plowing the snow and everything on the other side of the street with a little bit of luck. So take care, everybody, and stay safe. I'm going to put the camera already on that side. And here we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see something when I shut down the lights a little bit. This is, let me check the, yeah, I'm going to do this. And we're going to remove this. And so Moscow Nights, I'm going to say goodbye, and maybe you'll see a few trucks, Kimberly. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. And hope you enjoy the show tonight. Bye-bye.